boy, here we go. San Francisco Board of Supervisors leans toward giving every eligible black adult $5 million in reparation. Stanford University's Hoover Institute revealed the draft reparations plan could cost non-black families in the city at least $600,000 each. And how will this manifest for you? Well, if for some reason you still live in the San Francisco area, you will notice more poop in the streets. You will notice that the roads are not being fixed. The bridges are falling into disrepair. Social services are ceasing because the money that normally is used for these programs will be given to people based on their race. California was never a slave state. So why are they paying reparations? Anyway, we also have a Black Lives Matter activist who's very upset. Former BLM activist slams the plan for reparations as white board member says she wants to adopt all 111 recommendations, from $5 million lump sums for each black person to homes for just $1. Please, San Francisco, please, I beg you, do this. Do this, please. I want each and every one of you watching this to beg them, please give these reparations out, because we need to see it. And it's going to happen in a place that's basically like a petri dish, California. Let them do it and let's see how it works out. Hey, man, for all I know, it works out swimmingly and everybody's really happy. And all of a sudden you got families that have wealth and they're buying homes and homelessness ends overnight. So what better place than San Francisco to implement this trial balloon? I am 100% for this. Now, I think it's fairly obvious considering the Black Lives Matter activist guy is against it, because I have to wonder what they're really worried about. You see, you've got these awfuls, these affluent white liberal females or female liberals, awful, affluent white female liberals. They want this. And then you have actual BLM activists being like, stop, no, we don't want this. Okay, well, a lot of BLM activists really do want it. I mean, who's going to turn down $5 million? You can do a lot with that. But it's like pulling the block out from a Jenga tower. It may just come crashing down. Maybe it won't, but I'm totally for it. You'd expect me to be like, I oppose this. They shouldn't be doing this. I don't care what San Francisco does. It's basically a dystopian wasteland as it is. It's probably one of the best things they could do to maybe fix the problems. At the very least, take the money from the government and giving it to the people is better than whatever it is they were planning on doing with it in the first place. That being said, I think the plan is ridiculous, horrifyingly racist. California was never a slave state, so I don't know why they're even planning on doing this other than wokeness makes no sense. If you were like, Georgia would be paying reparations, I'd be like, well, Georgia had a lot of infrastructure built by slaves. But California was Mexican territory. And then it gets basically taken over after the Mexican-American War or whatever, whichever one. And we were actually going to take more territory from Mexico. But whoever was, it's been a while since I read about this. The president negotiated and ended up giving Mexico back their land, except for like these areas. Then we get California. California is admitted as a free state. A proposal to pay black San Franciscans $5 million each in reparations has reached the city's Board of Supervisors. The $5 million per person proposal is just one of over 100 recommendations made by the San Francisco African American Reparations Advisory Committee in their draft report released in December, according to the AP. Other proposals include guaranteed annual incomes of $97,000 per qualifying resident and homes in San Francisco purchased for just $1 per family, the BBC reports. My friends, have you seen the video that Mr. Beast put out where he gives shoes to poor kids in Africa? I think it was in Africa. And everyone's clapping and cheering like, Mr. Beast is so good. One of the most evil things I've ever seen the guy do. And I like the guy. Purely evil. And I say that because it's more like the banality of evil. It's that he didn't bother looking into what he was doing and why what he was doing was bad. Let me tell you. I think it was in Haiti. Tom's Shoes, the famous shoe company, said for every pair of shoes you buy, we give one pair away for free. Sounds really nice. Free shoes for all the needy kids. What happened? Well, the people who make cobblers, is that what they're called? Is it cobbler? That's the name of the guy who makes the shoes. I think that's what it is, right? Cobbler, a person who makes shoes is a job. Oh, men's shoes. Oh, really? Okay, well, I'm going to call them cobblers anyway because I like the word. They all went out of business. Excuse me. They started going out of business. All of a sudden, the economy was flooded with free shoes for everybody. So they stopped going to cobblers to buy their shoes and get their shoes repaired. The cobbler then had no money for food and had no job, and so stopped buying food, and demand started to drop. Then bread makers didn't have money from the cobblers to buy the tools and the machine and the equipment they needed, and then it created a depression. If they were to give $97,000 per qualifying resident in San Francisco, it would make them dependent, destitute. It would destroy their lives. Hard work breeds resilience and critical thinking, and you need that to survive a rapidly changing economy and environment. If the government comes in and says we give for free, then there will be but put it this way. If you don't exercise and all you do is eat, you get fat and you get sedentary and you get sick. Same thing applies with giving someone money. We have to have balance in our lives. The Board of Supervisors reported voiced enthusiastic support for the proposed reparations plan during Tuesday's meeting. Those of my constituents who lost their minds about this proposal, it's not something we are doing or we could do for other people. It's something we would do for our future, for everybody's collective future, said Supervisor Raphael Mandelman. The Board of Supervisors can approve all, some, or none of the recommendations and have the power to change them. A final committee report will be delivered to the state legislature on July 1st, where lawmakers will then decide whether to draft and pass legislation. Please, we got to get behind this, guys. Because if you're somebody who thinks it's a bad idea, then what happens is San Francisco blows itself up financially. And if we're wrong, they've cured all of the racist ailments and everything will just get better. And it's only really California making the risk. So I'm for it, baby. Let's bring it on. Give money out. Let's just see how that rolls. According to the AP, an estimate from Stanford University's Hoover Institute revealed the draft reparation plan could cost non-black families in the city at least $600,000 each. Yes, make them pay, all of them. I want each and every family in San Francisco who votes for this to have that money taken by force from their bank accounts. I'm kidding, by the way. But wouldn't that be funny? It's not going to manifest in their bank accounts being stripped. It's going to manifest in them one day walking outside and being like, there's another pothole. My tire exploded. Why won't this get fixed? They'll then complain to their government and keep voting for the same thing, and then it will all come crumbling down around them. Yeah, well, they deserve it. I mean, that's what I think is going to happen. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they implement this and it is a paradise. It becomes a utopia. Flying cars, the poop vanishes off the streets. I'm down. Opponents of the proposal say the city can't afford major reparations payments at the moment due to a deep budget deficit. Oh, about that. I guess they will take it from people's banks. This conversation that we're having in San Francisco is completely unserious. They just threw a number up. There's no analysis, says John Dennis, chair of the San Francisco Republican Party, who said he is open to serious discussion on the subject, but doesn't consider the $5 million proposal to be one. It seems ridiculous, and it also seems that this is the one city where it could possibly pass. I love how a San Francisco Republican is basically like your average leftist. Like, they're not even conservative. Earlier this month, the committee made the decision to limit reparations to the descendants of black people who were in the U.S. in the 19th century. But California was a free state. Like, what? Why is California paying reparations? Whatever, man. Millionaire San Francisco politician pushing for $5 million reparations also wants to defund the police, thinks Honduran drug dealers are human trafficking victims, and is proposing red light districts all over California to make sex work safer. Democrat Hillary Ronen sits on San Francisco's 11-person board of supervisors. A Chesa Boudin loyalist, she wants to legalize sex work across the city. Ronen and her public defender husband own a $2.4 million home. Give them what they want. They live there. They voted for it. Why would I complain? I want to see what happens. I want to know if this BLM activist guy is right. Xavier DeRusso, a conservative activist who used to support BLM, previously lived in the Bay Area and said reparations plan was nonsense. The plan was aired at a board of supervisors hearing, yada, yada, yada. I think I follow this dude on social media, actually. He's pretty cool. This is never going to actually happen, said Xavier, a conservative activist. It is so unrealistic to think the average family in San Francisco is going to be able to pay $600,000 extra apiece. Of course they can't. Vote for it, please. Du Rousseau, who was born in Chicago, moved to California, age 19, and lived in the Bay Area, told Fox News anchor Laura Ingraham he was disgusted that homeless people were on the streets in large numbers while the city discussed handing out $1 homes. The city would also pay all homeowners association fees or taxes associated with the property the plan recommended. It's going to blow up in their faces so ridiculously. He says, when people look at this list of the things that they are recommending, the most alarming thing for most is the $5 million going to each black person. But for me as an American, I am looking at this list and I see that they are wanting to sell homes at $1 to black Americans. As an American and as someone who used to live in the Bay Area, it is disgusting to me that we are more focused on slavery, which ended in 1865, than we are focused on the veterans who are on the streets of San Francisco homeless and begging for spare change in 2023. Standing ovation, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Du Rousseau said that he saw the campaign as part of a move to indoctrinate black Americans into dependency. Yes. Hitting the nail on the head with the hammer. This is 111 ways to gaslight black Americans into thinking that we need to be dependent on a system of handouts in order to be successful, said Du Rousseau, who had previously spoken about being raised a Democrat and then seeing the light. See, me and this guy, both from Chicago, I bet we've experienced very similar things. That when you're in Chicago and you live under 80 some odd years of Democrat control, and then one day you're like, why are you doing this? These people keep doing the same things. The city is garbage. He now works as a commentator for PragerU. Black Americans have been indoctrinated with these lies for too long. And I used to fall for the lies until I took a deep dive into the videos on PragerU.com and realized how easily debunked to these fraudulent narratives around systemic racism actually are. He concluded that it was virtue signaling by white liberals. Xavier, awfuls. Affluent white female liberals. That's what it is. He concluded that it was virtue signaling. People are taking full advantage. They are selling their books. They are selling black people their own oppression because it is profitable to indoctrinate people with victim mentality. Here, good sir. This guy gets it. Many say they are owed not just for the time their ancestors were enslaved, but also for generations afterwards, because African Americans have been incarcerated at disproportionately higher rates than white Americans. The proposal put forward in San Francisco on Tuesday night are among some of the most generous to be heard to date. Those who advocate for them last night did so wholeheartedly. Oh, look, the communist fist. Let me tell you guys. They try and claim it's the black power fist. Sure, just like the Roman salute is the white power hand sign, the raised fist fingers forward is called a red salute. It is a communist gesture, and it represents all of the fingers coming together to make something strong. Individually, the finger is weak. Together, it's strong, much like the fasces, which is a weapon crafted from a bundle of sticks bound together with a blade on it. Individually, a stick is weak, but together they are strong. It's a very similar authoritarian ideology. For some reason, they started to use this symbol, and they still do. It's probably for the same reason that schools will not tell you how evil Stalin and the communists were, or how evil Mao was, but everyone won't shut up about Hitler. Yeah, we get it. Hitler was a particularly evil guy. And it's because ethnic cleansing takes it to a whole new level. But Stalin did it too. The Holodomor, the forced starvation of the Ukrainian people. And let's not forget what happened in China. The Cultural Revolution, they started just murdering people. And now you have in modern China, you have the Uyghur Muslims being put in concentration camps and the women are being raped and then given forced abortions. That stuff's still happening. Not to mention what's going on in Libya. Boy, could I tell you. So anyway, good on them for their Marxist symbolism. One sang a verse from the 1964 Civil Rights Anthem by Sam Cooke. A change is going to come. The Board of Supervisors who heard the suggestions can vote to adopt some or all of the recommendations. Of the 11 people on the board, one, Board President Shaman Walton, is African American. The board will not decide on whether to or not to adopt the recommendations until later this year, once the committee which put forward the final draft has published a final report. Now, in order to qualify, you must be an individual who has identified as black or African American on public documents for at least 10 years. So Rachel Dolezal qualifies. 18 years or older. Okay. You must also meet these two of these 8 criteria. Born in San Francisco between 1940 and 1996. And proof of residency for the last 13 years. Okay, so Rachel Dolezal won't qualify then. Migrated to SF between 1940 and 96, having proof of residency. Personally, or the direct descendant of someone incarcerated by the failed war on drugs. Okay, wait a minute. Only 2 of these 8? That could apply to Rachel Dolezal. I don't know. Record of attendance in San Francisco public schools. Probably not. Descendant of someone enslaved through U.S. chattel slavery before 1865. Displaced or the direct descendant of someone displaced from San Francisco by the urban renewal between 54 and 73. Listed or the direct descendant of a certificate of preference holder, member of an historically marginalized group that experienced lending discrimination in San Francisco between 1937 and 1968, or subsequently experienced lending discrimination. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on there a minute. Might I qualify for this? A member of a historically marginalized group that experienced lending discrimination? Yo, guys, I'm part Japanese and Korean. Asians were getting mad discriminated against. They put Japanese people in concentration camps. I'm 5% Japanese, 20% Korean. Hey, in all seriousness, though, I hear stories from my family about how back then people were racist against you. In fact, my mom's side of the family, it was illegal. Yo, watch 1923. They have that scene where the cops come, 1923, and they beat the white guy up and arrest his Asian wife, and he calls his kid mongrels. Hey, man, I'm a member of a group that experienced lending discrimination, so that's one. What else can we get? Can I get one more of these things that would qualify me for $5 million? Okay. All right. No. You have to be black. So it doesn't Asians don't qualify. Sorry, guys. False alarm. You must be 18 years or older, and you must be identifying as black or African American on public documents for at least 10 years. So I guess what they're saying is now's your chance to right now identify yourself as black on a public document so that 10 years from now, if this happens again, you can get reparations too. Heads up, Rachel Dolezal. Here's another question. So if Rachel Dolezal identifies as black and she's older than 18, she hits those 2. Now she needs just 2 more from this 8 criteria. What if she is a member of a group that was experienced lending discrimination? Like what if she was Irish or something, and they received, okay, let's just say hypothetically that counts. And then the urban renewal, was that purely race related? Record of attendance in San Francisco public schools during the time of the consent decree to complete desegregation within the school system. I don't know, man. I got to say, she might get that last one, and she might get direct descendant of someone incarcerated by the failed war on drugs. Yo, a lot of white people are in jail because of the war on drugs. So if she had a parent or grandparent or somebody who was incarcerated, what's the time limit? 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? How long? Maybe she does. I don't know. I'll put it this way. I'm willing to bet there's going to be some white dude who has identified as black, maybe like Sean King or something, 18 years or older, who's from San Fran and whose dad was in jail. And he's going to be like, man, I get reparations. And his grandparents are going to be from Germany or something. And he's going to walk up and he's going to be like, hey, man, $5 million in a free house. I'm taking it. Wouldn't you? Who wouldn't do that? Now, me, I don't want to live in San Francisco because there's poop all over the streets. But, that's just me. Maybe you wouldn't care. Take $5 million in a free house. Seems like, probably a good thing, huh? So you have to be a resident. You must meet at least 2 of the following criteria. I think that's really crazy. If you're the descendant of someone enslaved through U.S. chattel slavery, dude, there's going to be a ton of white people. Like that. Who is that lady? Was it Angela Davis or whatever her name was? She found out she was a descendant of the Mayflower or whatever. There's going to be somebody who's white as white can be with red hair, blue eyes. And they're going to be like, I don't know a whole lot about my mom's side of the family, just some cattle ranchers. And then they're going to go back, 7 generations and be like, oh, my great-great-great-great-great-grandmother actually was a former slave. Granted, that has been mostly diluted out because it was one person 200 years or 150 years ago. But, it could even be longer than that. Look at that. Before 1865. What if you have an ancestor who is 1730 and you are 99.9% white and they find out that you're 0.037% black? It's that qualifies. Granted, you have to say it in the documents. So I love this stuff. What we should do? We should get Xavier on the show on Timcast IRL. He seems like a cool dude. I started following him on Instagram. He's based. I like what he has to say about a lot of this stuff. And look, you know what the reality is? Sane, logical people who oppose wokeness know that race is meaningless. It's completely meaningless. There's some things about it you can look at, like majority of people who play in the NBA are black. There's probably a correlation between that and like height or whatever, which makes sense because Swedish people are also very tall. So you probably see more Swedish people. And then people in Thailand and Korea are shorter. Those things are just, correlations you can see. But when it comes to an individual, yeah, we don't play these games. I don't care where you're from, what you look like, how tall or short you are. If you got good ideas, you got good ideas. If you got bad ideas, you got bad ideas. That's what I think is important in all of this. So ultimately what it comes down to is, if you are someone who lives in San Francisco and you voted for these politicians, you deserve to have them go to your bank and take your money from you because you voted for it. But it's just tax dollars. They can't afford it, but they can take it from you and that'll pay the bills. You reap what you sow. If that's what you want, that's what you get, and I am totally down for it. I mean, I wouldn't vote for it myself, but y'all can do whatever you want. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.